All right, now for more on the acquittal of Pastor Timothy Omotoso, we're joined by Mpiwa Mangwiro-Tsanga, Sonke Policy Development and Advocacy Manager. Good evening. Thank you very much for joining us on the program. Now, we've heard several activists today saying that the judgment has really dealt a blow on the broader fight against GBV. Your reaction to that judgment?
Good evening. And yes, it's the most disappointing judgment that has been passed today. It has really been it's very disappointing, first for the victims in terms of what they have had to go through, the process they have had to go through. I think we listened to one of the survivors after the judgment was passed when she was explaining what this has done and how it makes them feel after having been subjected to the scrutiny of the justice system, and then to get to a point where this kind of a judgment is passed. But it's also been disappointing because it's really such a painful reminder of the systematic issues that are within our justice system and that continue to be a hindrance for access to justice, for many survivors of sexual violence in the country. And it's the message that it sends that it is of concern, because it sends the message that there is impunity. Such crimes, there is a high level of impunity for such crimes. This was an opportunity to send a clear message that even those in power, and in this instance a religious leader, will be held accountable for the abuse and the crimes that they commit towards those that they exert power over. And this was an opportunity to send this clear message, and unfortunately that opportunity was missed with the communication, the clear communication that it sends to women in this country. And most of us are experiencing this judgment at the backdrop of another enraged the country involving the rape of a young child. And we know that the survivors in this case were also violated from a stage when they were still children. So it's really a very disappointing judgment, to say the least.
So you'd say that here it would serve as a deterrent, today's judgment would actually serve as a deterrent to victims that would want to come forward to say, you will relive your trauma in the public space on television, and then you only get to the end point where your perpetrator or the accused is acquitted.
Definitely. Already we know that there are low levels of confidence in the justice system in the country when it comes to issues, when it comes to cases of sexual violence, gender-based violence. We know that there is already low levels of confidence in the justice system. And unfortunately, this case just went to prove that if you're a survivor of such a heinous crime, if you take yourself through, the whole process was painful itself for the survivors to go through, but they were hoping that at the end of the day they would get justice. So if a serious miscarriage of justice is committed by the justice system, and how then do other survivors come out? Who wants to go through such a process, such a traumatizing process, reliving your ordeal in the public, and only for you to see the perpetrator having the last laugh?
What do you make of the time, the duration of this trial? Because it's been 8 years. I believe Pastor Timothy Omotoso was arrested in 2017. It's essentially taken 8 years to conclude this trial, which many have said is quite concerning, because some witnesses were no longer interested and indicated that no, they've moved on with their lives, they've healed, they no longer want to relive their trauma. How important is a speedy trial, especially with cases such as these?
There's the famous saying that justice delayed is justice denied. So this certainly, the 8 years is a very long process for survivors to live with this, to live in anticipation each and every year, waiting, hoping that they're going to put finality to this matter. And for it to take so long in itself is also a violation of access to justice in itself. The period was way too long. And like you said, at some point, survivors want to move on. They want to also heal. They want to be able to end. For one to be in limbo for 8 years waiting for justice is a very long period of time. And also, let's look at the issues like time in itself, certain things lapse in the process, and if you are going to be waiting for this case to go on for 8 years and you are still expected to remember with precision exactly what happened, how you were violated, and yet this thing has happened over 8 years ago, is also very unfair. And so all that contributes to the justice that is denied when these delays keep on piling. And that's one of the challenges we are facing with the criminal justice system when it comes to dealing with those cases, that there is always a delay that is way too long, that it also serves as a violation on survivors' rights, that also serves as a deterrent to many survivors, because they think even if I report this matter today, I have no guarantees that I'm going to get justice anytime soon. So many survivors would rather not even attempt to access justice through the criminal justice system because of the delays that come with it.
And so unfortunate and pure, because we're constantly hearing that GBV cases will be prioritized in our courts, that in as much as the court roll is quite long, that if you have GBV cases, they will be prioritized, allocated judges swiftly, and that matter be heard with urgency. But here we are. This one concluded after 8 years. Thank you very much, though, for your time, Mpiwa. That's Mpiwa Mangwiro-Tsanga, Sonke's Policy Development and Advocacy Manager.